So welcome back to the Business Warroom. You ever notice the guy selling the steak usually ain't the richest guy? The richest guy owns the ranch, owns the trucking company, owns the refrigeration warehouse, owns the software tracking every shipment, owns the financing, owns the insurance, and owns the real estate the steakhouse rents. And somehow, he's making money before the steak ever lands on the plate. Today, we're talking about why some entrepreneurs spend 30 years building a business while other entrepreneurs accidentally build an empire. There is a difference, and today, we're exposing it. A few weeks ago, I got a voice message from a listener. Shout out to you. Guy sounded exhausted. Been running a manufacturing company almost 18 years. His revenue? Around 8 million. That sounds impressive, right? Until he told me something. He ended the message with, Vinny, everybody around me is getting rich except me. That sentence hit me because 25 years ago, I remember standing inside an old warehouse looking at pallets stacked to the ceiling, thinking, we're killing it, except we weren't. The sales were growing. Our customers loved us. My employees were happy. Yet somehow, cash was disappearing like somebody poked a hole in the bucket. Why, you might ask? Because every single time money came in, it immediately left. Freight company, marketing agencies, software subscriptions, outside warehouse, packaging company, financing company, third-party fulfillment, payment processors, distributors, consultants. Everybody had their hands in my pockets. I built the business. They built wealth. That realization changed the trajectory of everything I've ever built after that. So here's what the internet keeps selling you. Go out and start a business. Scale it fast. Hire a team. Raise capital. And exit. That sounds sexy. And it gets clicks. It also makes great thumbnails. But the problem is, nobody asks one question. Who actually owns the economics? Now, if you're paying somebody every single time your customer touches your business, you don't own a business. You own a commission. It's a big difference. There's nothing wrong with outsourcing, don't get me wrong, but the permanent dependency, that's expensive. Every layer between you and your customer quietly compresses your margins. Not overnight, over years. That's where fortunes disappear. The math doesn't whisper, it compounds. Now, I want you to stop thinking like a store owner and start thinking like an ecosystem builder. Hear me out. Imagine your business is a tree. Most entrepreneurs obsess over the fruit. Sales, revenue, followers, customers. That's the visible part. Empire builders spend most of their time underground, building the roots, because the roots feed every season. I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. First, what happens before someone buys from you? Second, what happens while they buy? And last, what happens after they buy? That's your ecosystem. If you're only participating in one of those 3 moments, you're leaving opportunity on the table. Let's use coffee as an example. Most people think coffee shops sell coffee. Wrong. They sell convenience, community, routine, data, and brand trust. Now imagine one company that owns the coffee roasting operation, the wholesale bean supply, the branded retail stores, the subscription delivery service, the mobile ordering app, the customer rewards platform, the branded merchandise, corporate catering, and franchise licensing. Every customer interaction creates another revenue stream. That's an ecosystem, not just a business. Now, most of you need to pay attention on this one. I want you to follow the money, not the product. Here's a mistake that rookies always make. They fall in love with the thing they sell. Professionals fall in love with how money moves. Money leaves a customer's wallet. Where does it travel? Who touches it? Who gets a percentage? Map every stop. Every stop is either a cost or a future acquisition target. Maybe you don't buy those businesses today, but you should know who owns them, because one day they may become part of your web. Now let's talk about building the money spider. Picture a spider web. Every strand catches opportunity. Your flagship company should finance the next strategic asset. The next asset should strengthen the original company. Not because you want to be bigger, because you want to become harder to replace. See, when your businesses reinforce each other, they create resilience. One company generates leads, another fulfills, another services, another finances, another educates, another licenses, another manages recruiting revenue. You see, one customer, multiple relationships. That's how enterprise value grows. Now, for those that don't know, capital allocation beats lifestyle inflation. This is where entrepreneurs separate themselves. The first 5 million arrives. Suddenly, it's exotic cars, luxury watches, office furniture nobody needed. Meanwhile, the disciplined builder is purchasing infrastructure, technology, warehousing, automation, customer data systems, sales enablement, strategic hires, intellectual property. See, those investments don't always produce instant gratification. They produce what's called options, and options are very valuable. That's why you must own the relationship. Here's something I wish someone drilled into my head years ago. Never willingly surrender your customer relationship. If another platform controls your audience, they control your oxygen, your social media changes, your algorithm change, your advertising costs rise, and your platforms disappear. Your email list, your customer database, your loyalty programs, and your direct communications. Those become enduring assets. The goal isn't to avoid partners. It's to avoid dependence on any single one. Now let's have the conversation about taxes, because I want to clear something up. People love to throw around slogans like, just show no profit and pay no taxes. Business isn't that simple. Great operators don't chase taxes. They chase value. They work with qualified tax professionals to legally structure investments, depreciation, incentives, and reinvestment in ways that support long-term growth. The objective isn't to avoid contributing what's legally owed. The objective is to allocate capital intelligently so the business becomes stronger year after year. That's disciplined stewardship, not a shortcut. I want to quickly touch on the psychology of empire builders. See, most people chase comfort. Builders chase leverage. Comfort spends today's money. Leverage creates tomorrow's opportunities. See, for every decision, ask the same question. Does this increase my control or increase my dependency? One answer compounds. The other slowly erodes your position. The market always rewards those who create durable value, not those who simply stay busy. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. The business that changes your life, it probably won't be the first business you start. Let's be honest. It might not even be the second. The real prize is learning how businesses fit together, how cash flows, how customers move, how trust compounds, how systems create your freedom. Because eventually, you're no longer building companies. You're building an economic engine. So here's your homework. Draw your business in the center of a piece of paper. Then write down everything that happens before a customer buys from you and everything that happens after. Don't stop until you fill that page. That's your roadmap. See, some of those boxes will become partnerships. Some will become new divisions. Some may become future acquisitions. But every one of them represent a chance to create more value for your customers and for your company. So remember, never confuse being busy with building leverage. One creates exhaustion, the other creates freedom. Because wealth isn't built by collecting businesses, it's built by connecting them, so every dollar you earn recruits another dollar to work before you ever spend it. So if today's episode challenged the way you think about business, I want you to share it with another entrepreneur who's ready to stop thinking like an operator and start thinking like an architect. I also appreciate if you follow Business Warroom podcast on all social media platforms, subscribe wherever you listen, and if this episode gave you one idea that can change the next 10 years of your business, drop a comment down below, leave a review, and share it. That's how we build a community of serious entrepreneurs. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just real strategy. So until next time, keep your boots on the ground, your eyes on your numbers, and build something so valuable the market can't ignore it. Peace.